Welcome to week 6. This is our inequalities review. So if you looked at the announcement, week 6, we're going to have this review. Just a little more practice on what we've been doing. You guys have been doing great, so just keep up the good work. And then we'll also take our knowledge check over Learning Target 1.3, which is graphing inequalities. So we'll do that. So we'll take the review, give you a day. You can look at your notes, study, and then we'll go ahead and take that knowledge check. So we'll jump right into the review. Again, this is a review, and you can pause this video at any time, take down notes, rewrite some things, look at examples, and then you'll submit this PowerPoint back to me to count as your review. Okay, so looking over the steps again, remember we have some simple steps that we need to do when graphing. So I'll go over those. Step 1 is create or locate the number line. I think I'm going to give you guys number lines on the quiz. That way they're just already there. You'll have to fill in the tick marks, the numbers, and then obviously the circle and the shading. But I will provide you guys with number lines. That way they're there. They're all sized evenly and whatnot. So you'll create or locate that number line. Again, step 2 was place numbers on the number line. Remember, we only need 3 tick marks. I know in the past when we made number lines, I had you make various sizes based on numbers and stuff. For these, you only need 3 tick marks. The number we are comparing goes in the middle. Again, the number we're comparing goes in the middle, and then you're going to count one number bigger, one number smaller on each side. To the right, one number bigger. To the left, one number smaller. Then we need to decide if you will have an open or closed circle. Remember, if the symbol has an equal line, we use the closed circle. So if our symbol has the line underneath, that equals line underneath, we use a closed circle. If it does not, we use an open circle. So if it's just our greater than or less than, we use open. If it does have that equal line underneath, we use closed. Let me get my pen out. And then we shade towards the true statement. That's the last part. We got to figure out which way we shade. Remember, we can always use that true statement, our test points. We can always use that. But remember our rule of thumb, if it's eating the x, we shade to the right. If it's eating the number, we shade to the left. I think that's the easiest way. Again, those test points, the true statement, that'll always work 100% of the time. This will always work 100% of the time as well. If it's eating the x, we shade to the right. If it's eating the number, we shade to the left. So I think if you remember that, and then if you're unsure, you can use the test point, look at the 2 numbers, compare the 2 numbers, and then figure out which way you need to shade. So those are our steps. Again, we'll jump right into a review. I'll go over a couple problems, and then the rest of this PowerPoint you will download, and you have some practice problems to work through. You can either copy these down in your notebook and write them in your notebook, or if you go down here and you're in presentation mode, there's a little pen tool. You can hit the pen tool, and then you can draw. Again, you just click and hold. You can draw right on here and then submit that PowerPoint. The only thing is when you exit out of this mode, it'll ask you if you want to keep your writing. I think it's keep pen marks or something. You want to hit keep. That way when you submit, I can see what you've written down. All right, let's jump right into it. So we have 3 review problems here. I'll go one after another. So my thought process here is our first step, we locate their number line. There we are. Our second step is we're going to put our numbers in. I see that we're comparing 5, so I know this 5 is going to go right in the middle. I know one bigger than 5 would be 6. One smaller would be 4. So I'll go ahead and put a 4 there. So I have 4, 5, 6. I got step 2 done. Step 3, open or close circle. So that I'm just going to look at my sign. In this case, I have a greater than sign, and I do not have a line underneath. Since I do not have a line underneath, I know this is going to be open because I know 5 cannot be a solution. So I have an open circle on 5, and on my last step, I have to figure out which way I'm shading. In this case, we are eating x, so I know I'm going to shade to the right. And I'm going to go ahead and do our test points. Just double check. So I think we're going to shade to the right, so I'll test the right point. And if I look, 6 is greater than 5. Yes, that is a true statement. 6 is bigger than 5. So I'm going to go ahead and shade to the right. Okay, I'm going to jump over to this x is greater than or equal to -3, and then we'll talk about this one last. So on this second one here, I have x is greater than or equal to negative 3. Again, step 1, create or locate my number line. Here's my number line I'm going to use. Step 2, put the number we are comparing right in the middle, okay? And this time it is negative 3. Now, we haven't done a lot with negatives. I'm going to throw this in the review. There will be a couple questions about negatives on the test or on the quiz. So it's something we will go over, something we will talk about. So just be aware of negatives. There's only one thing that's tricky with negatives, and that is because it's negative, our numbers are going to be flipped. So regularly, if this was a positive 3, one number bigger would be 4, one number smaller would be 2, right? So we have 2, 3, 4. If that was positive. Since it's negative, again, remember, negative mirrors positive. So let's say if this number line continued this way, we would have, let's see, 1, 0, negative, whoa, that's supposed to be a 1, and negative 2, right? And so on and so on. So it can keep going. Let me get my eraser here. There we go, negative 1. Go back to my pen. So if we look at 0, see how this mirrors? We have 1, 1, 2, 2. But if we notice, our numbers on the negative side, the farther they go left, the bigger they're going to get. So in this case, left is going to be negative 4, and to the right is going to be negative 2, because we're working back towards 0 to the right since we're in the negatives. So that's the only thing you have to remember about negatives. If it's a negative number, technically, yes, negative 2 is bigger than negative 3, but if we take out the negative, 2 is going to be smaller. We want that on the right. See where my mouse is. We want negative 2 on the right, negative 4 on the left, and then everything else is the same. So that was step 2. We put our numbers in. Step 3, again, remember, I want to look at my sign. For this one, we do have a line underneath, which means or equal to, which means negative 3 can be a solution. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in my circle because there is a line underneath. So I filled in my circle. And then step 4, we need to shade. Again, my sign is eating the x. That tells me I'm going to shade right. Anytime we eat our variable, eat the x, we're going to shade to the right. So I'll go ahead and shade here to the right. And some of you might be thinking, well, let's double check ourselves. Let's make sure we're right. So we have x is greater than or equal to negative 3. We can do a test point of, we can try negative 2 is greater than or equal to negative 3. Again, would you rather pay $2 or $3 for that same item? I would rather pay $2, save myself $1. So yes, this is a true statement. Negative 2 is greater than negative 3, which means we are correct by shading to the right. Again, remember, if you eat x, we shade to the right. If you don't eat x, you're going to shade to the left. And we'll see that here in this last one, as we see it as x is less than or equal to 7. Again, step 1, we're finding or creating our number line. In this case, we locate our number line. Step 2, we're going to put our numbers in play. We're comparing to 7, so you guys are good about this. 7 goes in the middle. 1 bigger than 7 would be 8. 1 smaller than 7 would be 6. That's step 2. Step 3, again, we look at our sign. If we have a line underneath, it's going to be a closed circle because that means 7 is a possible solution. And in this case, we do have a line underneath again, which means I'm going to make a closed circle. My pen got a little wild there. Not the best circle for Mr. Cornell, but that's all right. All right, that's a closed circle. And then here, the first two, we ate x, so we shaded to the right, right? This one, we eat the number. That tells me we're going to shade to the left. But I'm not too sure. I don't trust myself, so I'm going to go ahead and do our little test point here. So we have our original inequality was x is less than or equal to 7. I think we're going to shade to the left. So the number to the left is 6. If I go ahead and plug that in, I have 6 is less than or equal to 7. I think to myself, is 6 less than 7? Yeah, 6 is less than 7. So that is a true statement. I'm going to make a check mark there, which means I was correct. We are going to shade to the left. So go ahead and do that. Shade to the left. Awesome. Again, if it's easier, sometimes I know it gets a little tricky. If you want to draw your circle like above this and draw your arrow this way, that is a-okay. That is fine with me. Like if you want to put a filled in circle above this, draw that way, you can do that as well. Either way works for me. I think this is a little easier, just shading on the line that's already there. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be an art project. I understand some of you guys like to make things look nice. That is a-okay as well. But again, you can look at my work. I'm not an artist, but it gets the job done. Okay, so that is going to be the majority, the bulk of our quiz is, can you follow the steps and give me a complete graph? Now, to earn a 9 on, let me get my highlighter. To earn a 9 on the quiz, so our learning target, remember it goes a scale of 5 to 10. We're shooting for a 9. 5 is you didn't do anything. 10 is you went above and beyond. You'll have a chance to earn 10s on the test, but for this quiz, the highest possible score you can earn is a 9. So to get that 9, you need 3 things. The first thing is, I'll highlight them, you have the correct numbers. So if you give me the correct numbers, so in this case, if you had 5 in the middle, 4 on one side, and 6 on the right, that's step 1. Okay? There's 3 parts to get a 9. Step 1, as I went forward. Step 1 is getting the numbers right. Step 2 is your circle right. Is it supposed to be open and you have an open circle? Or if it's supposed to be closed over here, do you have a closed circle? So that's step 2. Step 3, did you shade the correct way? And if you did all 3 of those, that's what gets you that 9. If you did 2 out of the 3, that'll get you the 8. And then 1 out of 3, that'll get you a 7. So if you get all 3, if you get 2 out of the 3, or if you just get 1 of them. That's how the scores for this one are going to correlate. Again, we can talk about that if you have any other questions. Please shoot me an email, and I can discuss that more and give you a little breakdown. But basically, if you guys are good about putting your numbers in, picking the right circle, open or closed, and shading the right way, you guys should be good. From what I've seen and what everyone's submitted, I don't think we'll have a problem with this one. You guys seem pretty on track and pretty aware of the open closed circle and which way you shade, so I don't have any worries about that. But I just do want to reiterate, what'll earn you that 9 is getting all 3 of those correct. Okay? Again, if you have any questions, please let me know. The last part of the review, and there will be a question or two like this on your quiz, is I want to see if we can work backwards. So this whole time I've asked you to create your number line, create your graph, and go from there. I want to see what we can do if I give you the number line, I give you the graph, I give you the inequality. Can we work backwards, and can you give me the inequality statement, which will be down here. So I left 2 blanks. Again, we're going to need a sign, and we're going to need a number, right? So using this information up here, can we give us the inequality? And I said, working backwards, write the inequality of the number line pictured below. Okay? I think the easiest way to do this is go by the steps. So the first step was, okay, we made our number line. The second step is we put the number that we're comparing right in the middle. Okay, so if we put the number we're comparing right in the middle, the number in the middle right here is 24. And if that's the number we're comparing, we can fill in one of our blanks, right? We know it's going to be 24. So we're going to have x, our sign, and 24. Our next part, step 3, was an open or closed circle. Now remember, an open circle, like that, meant I was using this or this. A closed circle, so I try to make a circle, means I was using this or this. So really, we kind of narrowed it down already. As we can see, our circle here is closed, which means we had 4 options to pick from. Now we only have 2. We have either greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. So that's where we're going to look at the shading. In this case, we're shading right. And remember, if we shade right, we are going to be eating x. If we shade left, we're going to be eating the number. Terrible number sign. Pen's not cooperating with me today. So in this case, we're shading right, which means our x is going to be bigger, which means I need to eat my x. It was a closed circle, so I know that line is going to go underneath. So remember, if we go right, we're eating x. If we shade left, we are eating the number. And so that is just working backwards. Can we break down this information here and give us our inequality of x, a sign, and a number? Okay? On your practice, you have this x blank blank. That's what goes in there. Give me a sign, give me the number we're comparing. Again, work through your steps. You can use this video if you need to go back, pause as I'm talking and figure it out step by step. That is a-okay. Again, this will be used as review for your knowledge check. So if you want to work through this a couple times, make sure you have everything down. I think that's a great idea. Nothing on your knowledge check should be a surprise. It should be everything we've done before. So working with negatives, working with positives, graphing, both of those, and then working backwards, which we introduced today. So go ahead and looking ahead, you will have a couple of them. Again, I provided number lines on these, so you can go ahead and write right on the video. So you have some positive, some negative, a couple more negative, a couple more positive, and then here's your working backwards ones. They're just kind of sprinkled throughout. I think you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 problems to work through. That's your review for today. Again, please go back and watch this video. Use this as an example. I worked through 3 of the normal problems with a negative, and then the working backwards problems. But also, if you have any questions, please email me. We can jump on a Teams call, or if it's something I can answer via email or Canvas Messenger, I can do that. If not, we can jump on a Teams call at some point, and we'll get you guys taken care of.